Hello, lovely to have you all here. It feels like it's been a while. I'm assuming my sound is good, but let me just get some feedback before I go any further. So, can you hear me clearly? Can you let me know in the chat if you can hear me clearly, please? Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Craig. All right, well, I'll begin. I imagine that many of you have been in a lot of perhaps self-inquiry, in a bit of consternation, concern, seeing a lot of things go on, right? We're seeing a lot of things go on around us. And it can be very um, anxiety making. So a lot of people are feeling in anxiety, and it's very challenging to maintain that higher viewpoint, that higher perspective, that more aligned to self. But I really want to encourage you to see that as your work, to keep going to the higher. Where it really feels like we've been in battle. And, I've got some information that would indicate that we have been. So those of you who have felt as though maybe you've had like sections of time missing, or as though you've been in a place where you feel that you've been in a place for longer than you recognized, a lot of time discombobulation, um, that we have been, we have been, a lot of us have been in battle, that there's this real the deep state throwing their toys out of the cot is a pretty good analogy. So the whole Hawaii thing has really got a stir on, and there's so many layers to it. So there's, the there's layers in terms of power, there's layers in terms of infiltration, there's layers in terms of portals, there's layers in terms of fear mongering, there's layers in terms of land grabbing, there's layers in terms of takeover bids, and it's what is interesting to me is how, Gaia said that there is this. It's like, you can't put this back in the box now. So I was thinking about Hawaii from a human perspective, and I've not been to Hawaii, but a whole heap of people that I know have. And I was thinking that, it's really, if there was a place that registered as, part of the US, that had a lot of people have a heartfelt connection to it, it would be Hawaii, because a lot of people have holidayed there. A lot of people hold it dearly. And so I feel that it was those intentions really, in a lot of ways. So a lot of people have now had this opportunity to see that what is and has been going on there doesn't sit right. It doesn't ring true. It doesn't feel good. And so this is this very, yeah, here it is. Have a look. This is this part of us. It's a part of us that we don't that we don't want to align with, and we must attend to it in order for us to evolve. And so there's a whole lot of components about that, but it showed up that a lot of light workers were in the ethers, in the outer planes, and in the inner planes, in battle. So if you had some times where you felt like you were out of body or couldn't place yourself, that might have been your experience. So I have had, honestly, I've had the most challenging technical time. And right at a time when I decided that I needed to do a phone upgrade, which has just meant another big learning curve, and then this whole system. So the I what I had to do was I had to completely shut down my entire system and do a reset, and then it came right. So anyway, that's kind of been my journey, and I've been very busy with clients as well. And there are a lot of people having awakening experiences, and you are bound to know people who are. And so it's very challenging for them to be in this feeling of being unsure and things occurring in their body, in their dreams, their hearts opening, this greater level of consciousness, perhaps some third eye development, and this feeling of not quite knowing who you are, where you're going, what you're meant to be doing, what the hell is going on for you, in you, and within you, and in your mind, and trying to make sense of the new revealings. It can bring on quite a lot of personal anguish. And yeah, so week. Last week, I had a number of clients who spoke to me about, or new clients who spoke to me about, well, am I having a mental um, health issue? Is there something going on for me in that regard? But it's all part of this awakening. And so our role is to reassure them, to hear what they have to say, and to invite them to be more in their feeling body, and to recognize that their head has a role to play, but it's it's not the only place to register within. And so to encourage people to become more into their feeling body, and to perhaps be in suspended judgment. I think that's always the best advice. You will have heard me say how Gaia says, you hold this here and you hold this here, and you just toss it up in the air or see what happens. You don't have to come to a conclusion in that moment. So I will say welcome to Craig and Charlotte and Jackie and Golden. Yes, that's the top. And hi, Billy. And hi, Alive Thrive. And hello, Anne and Carla. So let me attend to what people are saying on the way. Oh, that's good. We've got good sound. And so what's the vibe like in Florida at the moment then? Louise, have I got that correct? I did write some of that down somewhere, but it seems to have gone astray. Carla, is it ever going to be summer here in New Zealand? I know. It's very challenging, isn't it? We've had so much rain. I think we can see that from a number of viewpoints. The rain in general, the rain has, we've had interference. So it's another, is that a truth, or is that, at which side, if you like, if you want to have the sides, where has that come from? The rain. So the rain in the majority of cases, the rain is a blessing. It carries codes, it carries clearing and cleansing, but it's also been infiltrated, hasn't it? And so it's come with chemicals, it's come with things to damage crops, to put particulates and aluminium into our food chain and into our respiratory system. And so it's kind of both. And what I want to say is, on an individual level, just keep blessing your body, keep blessing your water, use crystals, use a good filter, do what you can in that regard, because this cleanup that we are in on our planet at the moment is massive, and there's this huge underground system that has a number of aspects, if you like, because we have inner earth cities. So we have these cities deep in the inner earth, and then we have this system that's in the like the the how does Gaia describe it? The outer earth, but the outer earth is the interior of the planet closer to the surface, and then we have the external of the planet where we live. So there's kind of zones and there's areas, and in that subterranean, that's where there are huge systems. So there are huge systems that entail a whole lot of technology that is relatively hidden from us, and a lot of that is used to be controlling over us. So this is, in a way, you, yeah, like I was saying to someone today, it's like everybody got taken off duty to be on a bigger duty. Everyone maybe got redirected because we've been in battle for our planet. We've been in battle for the survival of enough of this movement for ascension. And so it is like it was like a redirect, because we can't ascend if we don't have our planet. If we don't have Earth as this intact, living, breathing entity. So it's kind of like that. I don't know if I've explained that well enough. I've definitely had experiences where I've felt quite disconnected from my physical life, and that I feel like I've been out and about doing things, but it's almost like, I want to say, it's almost that it's too scary for me. So I don't, it's it's too scary for my little human, and so I don't remember it. But so that's been my sort of blackout experience, if you like. It's like in my day, there's been maybe 2 periods of like a half day where I've felt like I've been, like the day could be put into a big black box, and I don't know what went on there, but I know that I was out and on guard in battle. Um, let's see what else is here before I a holding pattern or a void. Yeah, I guess that would be another way of describing it, Golden. Hi, Helen. Billy swears there was missing time. It was 8 a.m. and then the next it was midday, and I have no idea where that time went. Yeah, we have been having, I haven't spoken to Gaia about that, but we have been having, oh, actually, yeah, how I saw it was, and just forgive me because I'm just trying to recall the exact diagram that I saw. It was like, it's so weird. It was like a couple of timelines got chopped up into bits and either got rearranged or had gaps in them. And I think that might be in the answer to what you were talking about, Billy, about missing time. We're in this, this shifting time construct, that's for certain, because that's the time. My understanding is that it's this 3D construct of the clock and of the calendar that holds us in this more three-dimensional material world. And so it's in the release of that. So officially we let the construct of the clock go a few years ago, but Yeah, it's definitely been threading in and out there doing some strange things. Weird dreams, solar plexus, body aches, and purging. Okay, yes. So there's a couple of things going on with that, I believe. So I guess I can speak to this. I'll speak to this, and maybe this is your specific thing, or maybe this is generic. But to me, what I got shown, because a friend of mine has been really sick, and 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 yet she hasn't been she has been sick in terms of she has had no energy. Well, she is like a little energizer bunny, and so she has had no energy and hasn't been able to go to work for a week. That's probably never happened in her life, she said. And so it was a week and a bit. And when I tuned into that, what I got about it was that it's like, so I don't even understand it, but you might be able to help me. It's so let's go back to the Hawaii thing. So it's like something happened there that interfered with the timeline somehow. Something happened there. It's like um, it's like a plug got pulled on a portal to Lemuria, and all of a sudden, it's like up out of the depths of what was going on there came all of these Lemurian codes and like pulls and triggers and wounds. And that, excuse me, people were um, reliving or moving through or feeling pull and connection to ancient Lemurian timelines, and so it was bringing up that. So yeah, that was definitely something that was coming in there. Saltwater, finishing a new coaching service course. Good, good. Yeah, the salt water is great. It's very cleansing. Visiting the waters all around Florida. Oh, bless you, Alive Thrive, for blessing all the waters intuitively for the past 7 years. Okay, what's your me too, Anne? Craig saying he started forgetting what time of the year it is and has to consciously ask myself if the weather is hot or cold to be able to place myself in linear time. That's quite big, isn't it? That's, I would say, Craig, I want to say that's like you being um, like a helium balloon on a trampoline. It's like you come down and then do, and no connection, and then you come back down, touch base, and do. It's like you've really released from the three-dimensional world. So that's probably really lovely and probably very challenging as well. And saying her car just stopped. Oh yeah, I had car issues as well. Um, very bizarre. Um, shouldn't have, but I did. I might have even spoken about that. Car stopped. Every appointment I try to make with anyone just fails. People behaving very irate. It's a very strange, stuck feeling. Yes. So this irateness, this is part of the anger response to the chaotic energy around. So if you think about how it sort of shows up, as if you imagine a whole lot of old-fashioned television aerials cut up into components and they're everywhere. This is the chaotic energy. This is how it looks, even though it's not that. This is how it looks. It's sharp, it's pointy, it's in all directions, it's moving, it's creating this energetic of chaos. And so people who are awakening, they are feeling it, and so they don't know what to do with it, so their response is to be reactive, to be perhaps projecting as well. And so that's this kind of energy that I've been talking about that would come, and that's the scurry out. You can get your stuff and scurry back. Keep out of the way of some of that. So the pains. So there's so yeah. So Lauren. So it's perfect because I'm just about to talk about this. So what I am showing is that we're going through. It's like another wave of spinal activations, and so this is it shows up as a if you think about the spinal fluid, it shows up as that um, tube, if you like. That tube, it's broadening. It's got a fatter look to it, and the energies are coming up through there. There's this expansion going on, and so that will I imagine that brings with it maybe pains like growing pains, and so like the masculine often they deal with that more than the feminine, so they might have a better understanding of it and be able to explain it better than I can. But that's how it shows up to me. It's like it looks better, broader, wider, plumper. It's holding more, and so it's pushing against the spine. The spine's having I want to say like a rejig, just slightly. But you think about all of those bones in there. So what I would say is to do two things. I would say do if you can hang off something, either from your hands or from your knees, so that you can stretch it. That's a good thing. If you know the cat and cow yoga position, that's a good thing. If you know the child pose in yoga, that's another good thing. But anything it's about stretching up and out and through the spine. But yeah, lots of disconnection from the old world because A, it doesn't make sense, B, we don't belong, and C, we are relocating energetically. We're relocating dimensions, and it's like letting go. It's like snipping off all the cords. So there's that aspect of it. What else is here? And then I'll get into my notes. Or second week of lower back pressure. Yeah, so it could all be to do with that. Okay, and Helen's experiencing that as well. Okay, feeling your DM in your body. Yeah, that's a possibility as well. Kundalini yoga yesterday with those poses. Oh, good. That's a good idea. Doesn't matter what stretches I do. Okay. Well, the other thing that could be useful is hot compresses, if you can do something with that. And also like hula exercises or belly dancing exercises, those figure of eight movements through the pelvic area. That would be my advice. Massage. Okay, don't know then. I'll see if I get anything, Lauren. I'll let you know. So I want to tell you about what I've been seeing, and then we'll see what weaves in here with Hawaii. But I want to tell you that I've done a lot of crying, and I've done a lot of crying about a lot of things in this past week since the 17th. So yeah, on the 17th, this is what I wrote. I saw these shafts of light. Oh, I was going to go and get my geode. Never mind. You all know what they look like. So I saw the shafts of light are penetrating deeply into the earth at the moment, activating the crystal caverns. So I was seeing these big shafts of light coming down and coming through the planet, and they were, like, there were lots of them, and that's what I was shown. They were activating the crystal caverns. So if you think about these, well, maybe you've even been in one. I've seen photographs, and I have been shown them energetically, and I've been in Gaia's Cave, and Gaia's Cave is an example of it. These giant geodes of crystals, and they are being activated, and they are bringing healing codes and energies for us. So I was being shown, particularly they were going into on the 17th, they were going into the golden crystals. So the golden healer, the golden citrine, and that this was the crystal caverns of the golden healer quartz. This pure golden ray of spiritual light, the self-healing of the Christ consciousness, that's what was coming in then. So they were golden rays that I saw that day. But activations will take place, I was told, through all of the crystal caverns according to the length of the light ray that enters and activates, or matches that type, that ray, that crystal. So healing is taking a precedence at the moment on and in the earth, as well as in the human body, in its ongoing preparation for Christ consciousness. So you can imagine that those who do not want to have that on board, they are scratching at the walls, and they are wanting to shift this. Yeah. So I did this sound bath that I found some music, and I put that on, and I played some sound instruments. And I can tell you that I left. I went somewhere. And I'll just read these notes. So that same day, so I think the 17th was one of those days where I managed to do what I was obliged to do, and I didn't manage to do some things that I wanted to do because I was in this other space. So I wrote here, so this is a week ago, so I'm pretty out of touch with it really. But I had a lot of tears of sadness on that day, and I had this recognition of my own courage, and it was in that recognition of my own courage that really had me crying, because it was like I hadn't reflected on that. And so I went into this deep reflection. I watched what triggered part of it, that made me go a bit deeper with it as I watched. So I had those tears, and then they sort of came and washed around, and then I got shown some other stuff, which I'll tell you about in a moment. But then at some point, I watched this 5 minute. So I came back in and wrote this in, and I can't remember the order of it. Sorry, but I watched this 5 minute video on COVID, on the COVID lockdown, and some of the horrific things that were recorded here and in Canada and in Australia. And what was really interesting to me was it really struck my sensibility in a different way. And I'm like, so I watched this, and I remember watching these things and feeling shocked. But I was thinking, so how much did we all get, mm, I don't know, like numbed? How much did in all of that exposure, did did even people like I was thinking, so did I lose some of my own humanity in that I could be shocked? And I remember being angry, but I don't I know I remember crying, but I didn't wasn't crying for, um, these particular things. I mean, I cried for days and days and days about the children, but this was, the horrific way in which lockdowns occurred and the way in which people were treated, and I just cried, and I thought, "Oh, so did I lose some of my own humanity during that time? Did I become did I develop some kind of, immune response to the horrific way in which people were being treated?" I That was, a part, it was like this internal inquiry. So did I do that? And then I recognized my own courage, and, the like many of you, we've gone through this in a way where we've had to really be strong in our own constitution. We've had to be strong in our own alignment, in our own power, in our own empowerment. And I remember I got evicted. I got evicted from a store, and I was fine while the whole process happened. Um, like I actually said to the guy who was throwing me out, "Are you kidding? Are you serious?" And anyway, but when I came home and I retold the story to someone, and I said to him, "Oh my God," and here I am, I'm crying about it now. So, yeah, so it was just some reflection on that. So I don't know whether there was something energetic going on at that time, but that came for me on the 17th, that realization, that we're on the tail end, we're on a new spin, aren't we, really, with this? But yeah, all that we went through. Um, and I was shown that I had on that day, I had this internal armor removed from me, as though I didn't need that anymore. Um, and that I could then move to a new level of expansion, that we are coming into our grand alignment. That's each of us as individuals, in pairs, in partnerships, in groups, as humanity and as the planet. And in here, I wrote this really interesting thing. If you are in a divine counterpart connection, that you may have felt like you were totally disconnected. So there's been a bit of that this week, and it showed up to me. It's weird. It's a weird analogy, but it was shown to me as like the end of the single life. It was shown to me in the way in which traditional marriages would have occurred, that there was this time where the partners who were going to be married or tied, or whatever name you might want to give it, um, that they spent time like exiting from their single life. So they hung out with their family, they spent time with their friends, they did things that they might not do in their new way. Um, and so it was that analogy that I was given about why there might have been this disconnection that people were feeling in those. Um, and a lot of energy coming in for the masculine in our world, this very strong pressure that was pushing them, forcing them to come more into their hearts, and that, this energy will be extra propulsion for them. It's their hearts taking more of a lead. So the masculine becoming more the leader of their own life. So all sorts of things happening in the physical that people have been telling me about their DMs, that they are doing, taking, making these very physical, tangible steps to kind of unravel, to attend to things that they need to extricate themselves from. And then they showed up later on that day. So it was this whole day of being like on the couch, I think. I'm not sure. I can't remember what day it was, but I think so because here I am. I'm here, and this was another part of the day. Anyway, this was another part of the day where I was showing the divine masculines walking around with their heads above the clouds. So the clouds were here. They were way up there. Their heads were above the clouds. They are looking higher, is what I got. Having a readjustment in their perspective, which may impact their values and behaviors. It looks as though they have untethered themselves from their current reality to rise up, to have a new and different view. And also, the word unencumbered came. It looks as though they are unencumbered. And they are making this reorientation and an individual from this individualized point. So again, that fits in with that the separation, this on my own idea. So this unencumbered orientation from this individualized point, and but from way up here, and then to come down and make adjustments in their physical for them to be able to proceed in this higher way. Right, let me see. I'll come back up here. There's a lot in the chat. Oh yeah, Lauren's really having. Maybe there's someone else here who can have a suggestion for Lauren. She's been in a lot of pain. She knows a lot. She's a registered nurse. So she's just saying she had to turn to ibuprofen. Oh, golden. Is that vibration plates, power plate vibration classes? Okay. And birthing pains. Okay. Yeah, we are rebirthing ourselves really. And saying COVID too overwhelming, a tough time. I never wore a mask in public. I was ostracized, ridiculed, and fired from my job. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, so you can, yeah, like really sit in how courageous you had to be to do all of that. That's what I was recognizing, that I was really isolated as well, and that I did that all on my own, and that's why I was tossed out. That's why I was thrown out of a store because I refused to wear a mask, and because I said to him, "That is not true. That is not the legal stance, and maybe you might need to go and reread it." And he just got super stroppy with me. Anyway, I was big and tough until I got home. I was big and tough until I got home. Anyway, so all right, so let's see. I don't need to talk about me. Switch off and can't worry about things I can't control. That's really good advice. Thanks, Lauren. There's an Aryan who was up in court in the UK for murdering young babies over several years. Okay. Yeah, it's these are going to be the confrontational experiences that we're going to be a part of, witnessing, isn't it? Because this is what we have to be looking at. We have to look at what happened, how we responded to it, and then we have to deal with it. And that dealing with it can be forgiving self, and it certainly is likely to be forgiving others, because we can't move into our new world if we don't do this from this compassionate, a loving, unified field. and a loving heart. Carolyn's saying disconnected for a few days, but have been connecting and disconnecting for a few months. For her, it is allowing the masculine to come in the right way with the right respect. Okay, good, good. Yes, thank you, Lauren. Good work, Golden. Yes. And okay, so Carolyn's saying in her dreams, Lauren's saying in her dreams he's coming in more. Dark night of the dark night of the soul, dark night of the ego. It is really, really awful, isn't it? It's so dis. I don't even know what the word is really. It's like having all of your connection ropes severed and being cast onto an ocean in a paper boat. It's very challenging to know what to do, where to go, and how to manage it. It's like all you can do is kind of hang on to each moment. Yeah. So let me, in terms of what's going on here in the chat, I want to tell you that this is my absolute read of the divine masculine, is that the divine masculine are undoing and unthreading their connections in a way that would make you pleased to know them. So they are doing this with such integrity. They really are. It's kind, it's gentle, and it's done with this huge amount of integrity. So they're undoing the old in order to rise up into their own being, their own higher being, your own higher consciousness, this awakening that they're in, the heart opening, the higher consciousness, and then this recognition that they are this incredible divine masculine, and the stepping into that in another way, at another level, just as the divine feminine are doing. So we're really in the movement of coming into the goddess that we spoke about a while ago and refining that. What else is here? Oh yeah, so it was just very, very interesting, this finessing that the divine masculine were doing. So, coming up here, really looking at it from this new and higher perspective in their higher consciousness, and then seeing how they land that in the physical to undo it from that higher point of view. And also that morning I saw in the sky, so you will know I talk about seeing things in the sky and the early dawn, and I saw these new things, and they were seed or leaf shapes. Yeah, so they had that kind of shape to them, like an eye, if you like, an eye shape. Excuse me. And Gaia said they are codes for nature. They are codes for revitalizing nature. So they were bringing in these codes to be revitalizing, reconstituting the damage that's come through what's been being released into the atmosphere through the weather seeding, weather manipulation, weather putting weather, like putting particulates into the weather. And then this, so I wrote this, where earlier in the month, energies were creating a disconnection feeling for light workers. And this was because the light worker collective has been sieving the lower strata to up level the awakening group. So if you can imagine that you kind of, so you left this part of yourself here, and so some parts of yourself might have been in a little bit of dazed and confused, and another part of yourself really took a bucket, if you like, and dived into the lower dimensional strata, the mucky murkiness of the lower strata, to sieve out some of the crud in order to assist the collective to arise, because this has really been this all-out effort. So maybe you can relate to that. And then the energy is beginning to have a steadying and balancing effect now. So that was in the middle of the month. light workers can again. So you will remember that there was a time where it was like, what's happened to the bliss codes? It was as though we lost our connection to those, and it was that. So that was how Guy showed it to me. It was we disconnected from the bliss codes in order to dive deep into that, to like we had a bucket and a sieve and we're down there clearing up some of that lower strata so that excuse me, so that it was an easier task for the collective to awaken. And we've been receiving healing from the inner planet, from the crystal caverns. So just it's been soft, it's been like a misty kind of, so it's coming in powerfully and then it's streaming up softly. So also we're still talking about that day, that Thursday. It was an 8-8 day. So it was a massive day for the movement of energies. If you think about the figure eight and two of them. And so that has been about shifting out the karma as well. The disconnect has been extreme. I'm showing that so this is just another aspect of the diving in. Light work is being pulled into sitting in this lower frequency of energy to help dissolve the shadow of the planet, the shadow of humanity, and to assist others to come up and out of the shadow. So it's, thank you, because it's been tough. It's the it's back to that New Zealand Australian ad, mighty big job. We've been doing it, and we can do it because we are that big, and we have to take time to be gentle with ourselves in between. So we've been in it. So when I wrote that on the 17th, I wrote, we've been in it for a few days and starting to lift out of it a little bit more. Yeah, and then we came into a bit of it was interesting because I was hearing songs about peace. So I was hearing that song, Peace, 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 Peace to the Universe. So you might know that. And then I was hearing that song, Peace by Peace, Piece, Peace by Peace. I don't remember any of the other words, but both of those songs coming through a couple of days later, coming into more settling energy and a lot of streaming down the neck. So we were releasing a lot from the head, so down the sides of the neck there was very strong streaming. So it's all been about everybody pitching in to do their bit to get us over the line, to tip the balance. So it could be that you've been working in this way, in a personal way, in an individual way, in a group way, in a partnership way, in a collective way, in a family way, in a karmic way. Clearing might also relate to ancient eras and epochs. And I wrote here, especially dug up through the Lemurian experiences via the Hawaiian events linked to hidden, buried emotional trauma. Also, some information came through which kind of is quite a strong link to things that Guy has spoken about, and who knows the timing of it. But it was a video I listened to, although I don't know who it was. It was not a video, it was an audio file. But there was a conversation in there about there being an announcement, and that announcement is due to be stated by Trump, and it's meant to be on Monday. So in the States. So they are in, I think, in the early hours of the morning, in the AM at the moment, and so we will see. But that was this announcement that relates to finance to an economic reset to a mention around Jassara Masara. And so that, if that is true, we should hear that sometime tomorrow, I guess. But yeah, it relates to asset-backed currencies. It links into what's going on with BRICS, and of course the whole BRICS thing. They're meeting in South Africa tomorrow, I think, for a couple of days. So that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and there's various numbers being thrown around, but there's something. One of the numbers that I got was 85+% of countries in the world are expressing an interest to be involved in that. So that will shift things. So the BRICS thing is when each country will use their own gold or their own asset backed. So at the moment, I thought that it was broader than that, but I read something today that would indicate it's gold. So a gold backed currency, which of course brings greater stability and greater self control in those countries. So that to me, it all links in really well with what Gaia spoke about this economic change. And so that's what this message was about, that's likely to, that it will be Trump speaking, that he speaks really as, and you can do what you like with this, but he speaks as the commander-in-chief, not as president. That there's I can't think what his name is, but the guy who knows the military code handbook inside out, and he says that he's always been the commander-in-chief, that Trump has always been the commander-in-chief. So this broadcast that he will make is, it sounds as though it could link into the emergency broadcast as well, but it's all about this economic reset. It links into BRICS, and it's about the alignment, if you like, of our coming into a new economic way. Hi, Daniel. Found your twin flame in May after nearly being totally crushed over the past 3 years in Melbourne. She's in rural Canada. We know our union is absolute fact. I've got goosebumps all over me. That's beautiful. Our mutual full gematria equates to 140 and 1440. Union is literally binary in nature, mutually committed to being the matrix, to bringing the matrix to an end. And yeah, so there's so many, thank you so much for sharing that. That's really beautiful. And there's so many threads to all of this, So things pop out of my mouth sometimes and I think, oh my God, that was just profound. And of course, they're not really mine. I'm just channeling them. But do you remember how that thing popped out of my mouth about how the masculine was showing up as the pillars and they were leaving the matrix, and as they left the matrix, the pillars were collapsing and the matrix was falling down? And so there's been all of these aspects to where we are at. And yes, thank you, Golden. Yeah, EBS and Jasara gold-backed currency. And there's this link to BRICS. So these nations they've left the mainstream narrative. They've left the economic, the World Economic Forum aspect, the World Bank cartels. They have exited that and they're creating their own system. And so there's talk of, I'm useless at numbers, there's talk of them already having something like just those BRICS ones. Yeah, just those 5 nations. They have something like 32% of world, I don't know what the word is, money, finance, just those. And then there are all these others who want to join. So this is like poking the nose at the World Economic Forum and saying, well, we're not going to do it your way anymore. And so we're really in the realization of this now, this week. I mean, we've been talking about, next year, blah, blah, blah. And now we're talking about tomorrow. And so this is going to really shift the tilt of the tiller, if you like. So that's going to be exciting. And then I'll just I'll read this. I'll read the poem that you would have read that came through from Gaia about Hawaii, and then I'll just see if there's anything else here to share. I cry and bleed with the pain and intrusion of Hawaii. The birthing creations of the new will still emerge from there. So Gaia speaks to me about Hawaii being both the heart and the womb. So it's like the womb heart, and that things are birthed there. We can and will transmute through more than that, more than what's been thrown there. And many great souls gathered to rock and nurse from both the inner and outer planes for this emergence. And so I want to thank you, because you will have all been doing that. Stand aside, foilers and spoilers. And I can tell you that I have, and so I have been speaking to Gaia every day for 6 years now. And I have never felt her be so warrior and fierce like about what was going on there in Hawaii. I tell you, stand aside, foilers and spoilers. This cannot be stilled nor stopped. We shall emerge as the great Lemurian rebirth of the waterspout through the Syrian whales and the Lemurian water and fire dragons. Consciousness ignites. We are arising. The folly of the few have brought their nefarious ways to the surface now. They are now seen by even those who could not see before. Enough. It is done. So in terms of these powerful, incredible divine connections, I want to tell you that it shows up to me very strongly that the divine masculine are in the physical taking steps in order to disentangle, to release from the old, to let go, to come into their, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful to witness when they're in their power. I tell you, they are a force to be reckoned with, and they are in integrity, and they are in love in their hearts, and their consciousness is like the old is streaming off them. It's like they are under a fire hose, and it's or a strong waterfall, and the matrix is streaming off them. They can't connect to those things anymore. They're in this very definite process with that in order to come to be with their divine feminine. There's this strong compulsion that has to be met now, and there's been this sexual energy, and now there's this in the heart, this pulsation, this pulling, this connection in order to bring about the new. So to create these waves, if you like, for hearts to be ignited, for new sacred geometric forms to be created across the planet, through the planet, and around the planet. So internal, through, and around, that holds this planet in this high vibrational experience and sends a signal to the sun to receive the bigger solar response that tips us over. So we know the solar maximum comes in March, April of next. There's a date, I don't know it, but March, April of next year, maybe the 30th 30 days, maybe the 30th of April. 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 or March, I'm not sure. Anyway, we can find that out. But I am feeling like we're in the urgency of this now, and this is like, let us come into that space so we can move the planet. That's my understanding of it. Heart of the womb, does that mean the womb is clearing as in sacral chakra? I've been getting messages about clearing sacral to bring in the masculine. Okay, good question. Let me just sit in that for a moment. It could relate to that. There's definitely this idea of this birthing of the new. So it's the womb birthing the heart. That's what I get around it. Ready to move the planet. Yeah, that's right, Tan. So clearing as in the sacral chakra. I've been getting messages about clearing sacral to bring in the masculine. Okay. Well, I don't get any more about that at this minute, but I will tune into that. And what else? So what else is here? It's for us to hold ourselves, to hold one another, to know that love is the answer, and that we must not get pulled into the mire here. That this is our time to rise, our time to hold, our time to shine, and that together we can move this into a dimensional shift. And remember that this dimensional shift into a fifth dimensional space, that it renders the dark incapable, it renders the dark inactive. They cannot hold that energy into the fifth dimension. So it's become a very clear battle, but we battle by rising above it, rising over it. Hello, Caroline. So yeah, for me, I've been feeling very emotional about it all, because I'm so connected to Gaia, and she's been feeling very emotional and very feisty, which is a new experience that I've been having with her. So thank you so much. Let us close. Let me speak some light language, and let's close. I'll do that as a part of our closing, and let's hold space for others who are suffering. So we know that a lot of we know that it is likely 717. We know that it is likely, and there are 33 people here live, that a lot of children have gone, that it's a total atrocity what's gone on in Hawaii, but who knows all of the layers of it. But it would seem that part of the truth is that the person in charge of the water resource denied access to water for putting out fires. It would seem that routes were blocked. It would seem that children were sent home. It would seem that the siren wasn't used. So they have a tsunami siren, that alarm wasn't raised. It would seem that children got sent home from school, and so a lot of them were alone, and that their parents didn't know that. And that there's huge loss that is underreported. I read something. I listened to this guy who is ex-military, who was there, and he was talking about there being shootouts, and that the corruption through a whole lot of levels there on the island was massive, and that they needed to bring in backups to get it sorted. It would seem it would seem that it was, also a bit of a land grab. So there were a lot of layers to it, and it would seem that there was this direct offence on a portal in Hawaii that is important. So yeah, so just drop your energy focus into your heart. So maybe place a hand on your heart and a hand on your belly. Take a breath. Bring your focus to your heart. Ia toa shikana ta, ia o, ia shia takana a, ia takana a o shia tarana a, ia tiata, ia shishana, arakana a sisishi. Ia toa, ia arakanashi. And take a breath. And feel this huge pulsating ring of energy emitting from your heart. And imagine that we are here in circle around the planet, and that we are sending this into the center. So we are creating an energy link from our heart to the center, creating spokes in a wheel. So it's moving in and then bouncing off. And thus bouncing off is getting the wheel to spin like a wagon wheel, like the wheels that they have in some of the Asian temples. Yaranasi Hawaii. Yarana na 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 yakana tashiana rakana siana yakana na na yarana na 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 na. Esiana, Shishanakana Siti ara si. So let us see this wheel spinning and emitting this beautiful heart resonance that we have created through sending love from our hearts into the center, moving the wheel, spinning love across the planet. When we call upon all of our brothers and sisters who love this planet, those who are on the planet, those who are in the planet, those who are off planet, we ask them to hold hands with us, to bathe this planet in this higher dimensional frequency of love, to awaken those who are still asleep, to enable them to see the truth, to enable them to see that there is wrong here, and to want things to be right, to be correct, to be godly, to be higher, to be love-based. Ishakanasi, Yarato, Ishatakana, Yatiana, Ishiarakanasi. We invite all of the waters, the rivers, the lakes, the internal waterways, the rain cycle, the waterfalls, the ocean, to be filled with the starry light of consciousness, this higher frequency. I want you to see the angels taking the souls from Hawaii, holding them and moving their souls off the planet for restitution, for healing into new form, to be held, to be loved, to be thanked. Hey anarasi ashananahi aho. Much love. Much love to you all. Thank you. Thank you for being who you are. See you again soon.